Well, it's Michaelmas, friends, and here I am looking for angels. How about you? Welcome back to Going to Ground, and I'm here on returning to Russal Church, where I posted a couple of weeks ago now, following some song recordings in this beautiful spot. It's on my route back from Salisbury, and affords me a mini retreat at the end of a long day to pop in. It's open each day, which is wonderful, and it's a bit of a sanctuary. And this is the most visionary of seasons of the church's year, although there are some competitors. We might offer up Ascension Tide, or we might think of the season of All Saints Tide coming up before too long. So there are some challenges to Michaelmas, but on this feast, as the last couple of days have commemorated St. Michael and all angels, we consider the imaginative and spiritual possibility that heaven and earth might be far closer than we imagine. Because usually we tend to consider them at best tenuously connected, if we consider heaven at all. And church buildings are here to make visible what is otherwise invisible, to try and recreate in wood and stone and marble and glass the world unseen, a world intangible. We touch thee, as the poem goes, and church buildings are enable us to touch the intangible. And so I've been looking out for angels, and it didn't take long actually to spot one or two here, and there they are up there in the stained glass window. There are angels in the architecture, as Paul Simon sang, in almost every church, and yet angels don't really feature a great deal in our everyday spirituality, so to speak. I don't encounter that very often. Therefore, this feast of Michaelmas, St. Michael and all angels, is a good one to retain or rediscover. And St. Michael, of course, that great warrior angel from the book of Revelation, who is depicted as victorious in a great war in heaven, as if the contests of the nations and civilizations here on earth are somehow reflected or mirrored by their eternal conquest and the ultimate victory in Christ over evil. And this weekend, the other readings that are familiar at this time of year are one familiar, I hope, to Going to Ground viewers, of Jacob in the wilderness and his ladder in a dream perceived extending between heaven and earth, and he puts a stone under his head for a pillow in the wilderness and goes to sleep in a nowhere, wakes up in a somewhere, with the realization that God is in this place, and vision of angels ascending and descending up and down on this ladder, this stairway to heaven. And then the reading of from hundreds and hundreds of years later, probably 1,500 years later, certainly in the tradition of Jesus, as a kind of walking Jacob's ladder at the beginning of John's Gospel, saying to his early disciples, if you follow me, you'll also see angels ascending and descending up on the Son of Man, a way of referring to himself, as if he's a kind of walking portal to heaven. And so you draw close to me and you'll find this kind of touching point between eternity and time, heaven and earth. So those are the themes that somewhat blow our mind at this time of year, but I love it increasingly, actually. Never used to think much about Michaelmas, just aware of the daisies and other cultural references, but it's something that we need, particularly at times of fearful contest amongst the nations on earth, to recognise and perhaps hope for, hold on to, even if we can only half believe it, that there in the eternal struggle, so to speak, there is a victory for what is good. And also to call upon those intermediaries, those angels between heaven and earth, for what we need in the life of our soul here and now, to reach out for them. Maybe pop into a church if you're near one, a historic one. We usually have a depiction of angels somewhere. And just look up and around you and imagine God closer than we might usually remember or consider to be the case. One of the ways that we feel that and come to know it is through singing in the church, through music. And as you've heard me talk about before, this is a place where you can feel that fading signal of hymns and psalms sung past over the centuries. Almost as if we were very quiet, we would hear the saints humming along and singing from the graveyard, and the walls soaking in and echoing back the sound that has not faded away. And there is something in the words of hymns that still cut through, I think, to our emotions, our cultural memory. And I've been involved in another release musically in the last couple of weeks, which has been reconstructing old hymns, and you can find it online. You can order it on record, or it's available for download, called Tremulant. And I'm part of a loose collective of musicians called Ghostwriter that have been involved in this project, and it has been reimagining old hymns, and led by a friend of mine, Mark Brand, who's the creative mind behind it all. Really, I've just sung along and contributed a few ideas and melodies, and taking some deeply confessional old hymns, Will Your Anchor Hold, and that wonderful mainstay of evangelical hymnody, I stand amazed in the presence. Oh, how wonderful, oh, how marvelous, and my song shall ever be. Oh, how marvelous, oh, how wonderful is my Redeemer's love for me. And other melodies too we have taken and kind of pulled apart and added in some space and other sounds and thought them through in a new kind of way, hoping that they'll strike a chord, so to speak, quite literally with people. And so do look that out if you're interested in the way that hymns still live. They can carry us up into the heavenly places. They can make the angels seem as close as they are. But we don't often bear it in mind. So from Russal Church, where heaven is close to earth, to wherever you are, God bless you as you go to ground.